what's on your retirement plan? If you're not in your retirement years already, do you even have a plan? After 10 this morning, I'm going to be getting an expert on the line to answer your questions about planning for your retirement and things like your super. But when it comes to those post-work years, there are some considerations you need to be across for your mind too. So psychology expert Dr. Jo Lukens is with me now to get Mindwise. Good morning.
Good morning, Susan.
So for some people, that transition to retirement can bring a joy, a lightness, but because you're not going to work every day and your life doesn't sort of revolve around work. But that's not the case for everyone. What are some of the psychological issues that could pop up in that transition to retirement?
Yeah, this is such a great topic to cover because, as you say, you've got an expert coming on after the hour talking about the financial considerations, but we don't, I think, spend as much time looking at the mental and the psychological considerations for us with retirement. So a big part for those of us that work, a big part of who we think we are and how we identify ourselves, how we get introduced to people is often around what work we do. And of course, we know that's not all of us, but it's a big part of us. So when we move into those retirement years, it does change how we think about ourselves, how others think about us. And so it's really important to give some consideration to some of these elements.
Yes. So with all of those things in mind, so it's our identity, our purpose, it's also our social life in some cases.
Oh, absolutely, because work for many people is a point of social connection. Humans are social beings, and so we find ways to connect with others, and work provides a really great mechanism for us to do that. So if we're then suddenly going to be absent from those people, we need to make sure that we're firming up some social connections in our life outside of our work and then through what our retirement years might look like.
So in addition, so obviously work provides social connections, which we've just established. We've spoken about financial concerns. Not having that regular income, I guess, is also a big impact.
Yeah, so I mean, we certainly need to think about how we understand money and how we spend our money, what we want, because it's one of those interesting times of our lives, isn't it, where we've got more time, and so therefore we have more opportunity to spend money. So we need to be very sensible about our cash flow and how we're set up. So that's why it's great that you're having those conversations about how to set ourselves up. And the other thing is that humans, we're often not future oriented as much as we need to be. So I'm married to someone in the financial services industry, so I guess we're fortunate we've been having these conversations for a very long time. But for many of us, we need to be planning for our retirement well before that's actually on our radar. So that's I think one of the challenges there. But I think that's what we can be doing psychologically as well, is understanding who we are, understanding what our purposes are, knowing what our projects are and who we connect with, and finding ways to do that so it's not all anchored into our working lives.
And traditionally, humans don't really like change.
No, and our default reaction to change is no. Whether it's changing a button on a computer where your software changes something through to, I don't know, the label on your milk. We don't like change at all, do we? So this is a significant change.
Huge
and
change.
So I think it's important for us to say it's okay if it takes you a little while to adjust to it as well. Even if it's a welcome change. You mentioned before some people are really keen for it and maybe others less so. But we do know that it takes some time, and to understand that there is, for some, there may even be something of a grief process that goes with that as well, because it is, for some people, a loss. So being kind to yourself and understanding those wave of emotions as we go through them is important. So
with those things in mind, what sort of things could we do to set ourselves up for success in that transition to that post-work life?
Yeah, so there's a range of things that we can do there. So I think it's first of all just paying attention to it, being mind-wise about it, thinking about what does my life look like now. Now I'm a planner, so I lean towards going, so do a bit of planning. And some people will be listening to this going, no, the whole point is to not plan,
be free.
And to be free. So I guess maybe what it is about knowing your style. I will need to be a planner. When I go into retirement, I will need projects and those sorts of things, and other people won't. But I do think finding a new routine, finding new structure is a really helpful thing that people can do. That it's one of those things that, most of us need to have a little bit of a plan around what we're doing. And I think that's a good way to set yourselves up. What do you ideally want it to look like? Understanding that it may not always be the ideal.
Yes. So is it like planning that you're going to go and visit some family, or planning that you might have a holiday or something like that, just so that you have a bit of an idea of something that you're working towards, or even maybe a craft project? Or
absolutely. And in whatever form it might take, things to look forward to is certainly a big part of what helps us move well through that transition phase into retirement. So any of those sorts of things, and like you said, it could be an activity that you're going to be doing. It might be an activity you're doing with others, but also think about the things that you like to do and making sure that you put them into your day. Otherwise, it's very easy. You're going to slip into a routine regardless. You just got to decide how much of influence you're going to have over that particular routine.
Do you think it's better to kind of wean yourself off work, or is it better to just stop quickly?
I think that's going to depend on the individual. I'm very confident for me it'll be a wean process
Yes.
when that comes around. Like I think but maybe that's just
Step
the
it
phase,
down.
maybe
Yeah.
that's just the phase in my career I'm in at the moment where I go, oh, I couldn't imagine that. But maybe when I get to it, it'll be like, oh no, I'm stepping right out of this and into something new. But I think being open to either of those, if you've got the luxury of choice, is a good consideration, and it's another one of those retirement decisions to make for yourself.
Lots of things to think about. Dr. Jo Lukens, thank you very much for your time.